What's up, y'all? So today we're going to be talking about which sports have the fittest athletes. So there are so many sports out there, to the point where I literally had to just split this video into just two sports. But I do plan on turning this into a little tournament though, and in the end discuss the top two sports in my opinion, to name the athletes for those sports the fittest. So I've decided to go with my favorite just to start. But down in the comment section below, be sure to let me know what your favorite sport is, and if you still play it or not. To start things off though, my personal favorite, track and field. I love track and field because I've always just enjoyed sprinting growing up for some reason. Even when I used to live in the UK, after church, sometimes me and my friends would just race on the sidewalk or on an open road, wherever we saw possible. But I can't be biased though, so let's get into the average track and field athlete. So track is split into running events and field events. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I think the majority can come to an understanding that the runners, for the most part, are more all-around athletes in comparison to some of the field event athletes. So we're going to be using the runners to represent track and field. When we're looking at the muscles used for runners, it's pretty easy to tell which ones are being used the most. That being legs, the focal point, which means that we're dealing with larger muscles like hamstring and quadriceps. But running also includes glutes, calves, Achilles, and even your abs. The question is though, who is the fittest? And to get a real contender for track and field, we do have to break it down even more. And that's to choose between sprinters and distance runners. Sprinters are more about explosion and maximizing efforts between 60-meter races to 400-meter races. The most world-renowned runners being those in the 100-meter race, like Usain Bolt, Justin Gatlin, and Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri? I forgot how to pronounce her name. I'm pretty sure it's Sakari though. I could easily make a video on track itself, but to keep things brief, I would personally give the more fit title compared to sprinters and distance runners to the distance runners. This is because they not only use the same muscles, but they have to use them for much longer distances. And I'm pretty sure my fellow sprinters can agree that whenever coach said run beyond a 400 meter, we would sigh in the back of our head like, dang, I really gotta do this today. I was only planning on doing 300 meter, 200 meter. I didn't even want to touch the 400. But that just shows how long distance runners are. They're able to handle those types of races. For distance runners, you have to be a master of cardio. And controlled breathing is vitally important as well. And if you run frequently or often, you might even encounter a runner's high, which is a state where you feel more relaxed, more calm while you're running instead of feeling anxious or stressed out. Now, I've heard too many people trying to say, I've been in a runner's high, or I ran for the first time and guess what, you wouldn't believe it, I experienced the runner's high. Now, I'm not doubting that there's a person out there that could probably experience it on their first run, but for most people it takes a while and running for quite some time before you can even tell that you're in a runner's high. Distance runners also have naturally high airflow because of the demands of oxygen from the lungs, but since we picked distance runners to represent track and field, we have to talk about where they fall short too, and it is actually kind of simple: upper body strength, due to the fact that running mainly consists of lower body muscle. You don't normally see those types of athletes competing in like powerlifting, anything to really do with like bench press, back, arms, especially because I know when I did track for a little bit, my whole body weight just shifted to my legs and it was looking weird, I'm not gonna lie. But this is gonna set them back a little bit when it comes to determining the fittest athlete. So the rating that I'm gonna give track and field is 7.5 out of 10. The next sport that we have is table tennis. Table tennis focuses on agility, hand-eye coordination, and staying low to the ground, that is. It's considered a full body workout, which means that both upper body and lower body muscles are used. Some famous ping pong players that I came across are Ma Long, Zhang Zhike, and Wang Hao. All those guys reached the pinnacle of table tennis, winning at least a gold medal in the Olympics. I tried to look for some advice from Ma Long, but being Chinese, he doesn't really have anything in English advice-wise. Besides people trying to replicate his technique online. I'm telling you, when I was doing my research for this, I saw so many, is his technique like this, how the footing position, all that. I guess you gotta take all of that into consideration when playing table tennis, correct? So back on topic though. Table tennis without a doubt has the top agile, quick reactive, and focused athletes. But is that enough? They are very nimble and do use most muscle groups, but they aren't necessarily trained for performance when compared to some of the other sports. When comparing it to track and distance runners, they don't have as much stamina, but table tennis does have a better reaction time. When I bring strength in though, I do have to give it to track, but muscles involved would have to go to table tennis. And the final category I will be basing both of these sports on is difficulty, or physical demand to be more precise. And I'm gonna be giving it to track. But I want you to understand that any sport can be physically demanding, but the key difference is which one would tire out the average person more. And that would be somebody running for 10 minutes in comparison to somebody playing table tennis for 10 minutes. So in the end, track takes the win. And I want you all to realize that this is not factual, this is just my opinion, and not to take my decision as saying that one sport is better than the other. That's not the case. Regardless though, next week I'm going to be doing soccer and volleyball. I still think soccer should be called football, but that's besides the point. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Please be sure to drop a comment, subscribe, drop a like too. Share this to some friends who you think might find my answer wrong or agree with me, and let me know down in the comments whether there are any decisions or any things that you feel like could be going on either side, or let me know what sport you prefer. Anyways, peace. Yo!